Hello everyone, welcome back. This is Dina. Today is Saturday. It's the 29th of August and I have something I want to share with you. I've been working on my Soul Sisters piece for a couple of days now. I had an idea that I would like to go ahead and try to stitch up at least one of the two ladies that are charted with the 1/1 head. Their body is 1/2, but their head, neck and head is 1/1 to make them fit. And I did finish one of them completely, so I want to share that with you. I brought the background all the way down even with the house, and then I came on down and I stitched her. Look at that face. Isn't that precious? Just adorable. Anyway, I did the 1/1, and as you're doing the 1/1, you still do a few tiny off-white, that's parchment, from Weeks Dye Works is what this is done in. And so you do a little bit of 1/1 right around her head to make the square it equal out to what would be a 1/2 square. And then that way when you come back around with the 1/2 for the background of that house, then it matches up. Isn't that amazing? I went ahead and did the whole lady, and then I filled in with the parchment, and I ran out of thread right there, and I'm gonna stop for the day. I've got a parked thread over here because I'm gonna run out of this color, and I have ordered it. So I'm gonna have to wait for that one to come back in now to continue with the sky going down. It's Deep Fennel from Classic Colorworks, and I've got it coming. So anyway, I am thrilled to death. And the next time I work on this, of course, I will come over here and stitch the other little lady and try to do the background around her so that when my fennel comes in, I can bring that background on down to their feet. And then the row under their feet is another border row like that brown. And then it starts the words. So I'm tickled, very tickled with the progress. I think it's coming along very nicely. So I'm hoping that in either September or October, this might be a finish. So we'll see. But I certainly was pleased that I was able to pick this back up. And the reason I did was because I was on a Zoom call and I had all this background that I could fill in with the deep fennel while I was talking on my Zoom call. So that's the reason I chose this one. So now what's up for the next couple of days? Well, I'm going to take a look at my whips and decide what I want to work on. I've just got it open and free until the 31st. So I'm going to pack this away. I'm going to pick something else to work on today, and I'll come back, of course, and share it with you. So one last thing I want to share with you is plans for September. I have joined in on the magazine sale that C. Zook Stitch is doing with her buddy, and the theme for September is autumn or fall. So I looked through my magazines to get the right piece to do for autumn, and here's what I found, and it is a bit of a stretch, but we can do whatever we want. So this is how I'm going to do it. So just let you know. This is my Stony Creek Cross Stitch magazine from October 2008. This is what it looks like. And I have saved this because I intend to do this sampler at some point. That is, actually, I consider doing it for fall. But it's got summer produce and stuff in there, so you know, flowers and things like that. So I decided not to. I'm gonna save it till I finish some of my big pieces, and then I'll get started on it. But in this magazine, there is in the letter section a reference to someone asking where they could find the pattern that was originally published in the August 2006 Stony Creek magazine. They're looking for the back issue. They want to know if it's sold there because this autumn banner is what they're trying to find. And in my magazine, they're referring them to a leaflet that you can now get for the autumn banner. I have that leaflet. It was gifted to me just this year, just recently. I just shared this not long ago that I had gotten this. So I had this on my to-do as soon as possible list. So I'm going to say I am stitching this autumn banner. I'm going to start it in September for my autumn magazine stitch because it was and is in the August 2006 magazine as a pattern, and then it's referenced in my magazine from 2008. So I know that's a bit of a stretch, but it's okay. I am excited about getting this one started, and it did get its inspiration through my magazine. So anyway, that's what I'm going to do. I have this one, the fabric for it already. It's a bell pull, so it has to be a long piece of fabric, and so I ordered that a while back when I first got it, and I'm doing mine on Queen Anne's lace. It's a 32 count Joblin. And when I got it, I ordered it big enough for the length, and I ordered it wide enough so that I could use it twice. I'm going to cut it in half on width, so you have this long, skinny piece. And the reason I'm cutting it in half is I have another bell pull that I'm going to do down the road. Let it snow. Isn't that beautiful? So I will use this piece of fabric for both of those. But I'm excited, and so now I just have to pull this out. I've already got my specialty floss. I had it in my stash. You have to have 3 skeins of Gentle Arts cherry bark that you do the words or back stitching in for each of the months. It's going to take 3 skeins for the whole bell pull, and the rest is DMC. So I just need to get this out and pull my DMC, and I'll have myself kitted up to start it in September, sometime in September. So excited about that. Wanted to share that with you. I'll have to take a picture of it and post it in the Facebook group. But I just wanted to let you know what I'd be doing. So I hope you are wrapping up the month of August in great style. And I will be back the next time I have something to share with you. Happy stitching. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Dina, and this is my channel about cross stitch. I have a few things to share with you today. It is Saturday. It is the 5th of September, and I have been busy. Busy stitching, busy with life, but I wanted to stop in today and record because I haven't been recording every day. Because I've been focused, and I'll share that with you in a minute. But I do want to tell you a couple of things that have happened to me in the last week. I am a member of Cheryl McKinney's Facebook group, and I hate that it's closed for so many of you, but I'm so fortunate that I got in there, and I've enjoyed it so much. I do a lot of her prompts, and I am participating in her scavenger hunt this year, and there'll be more on that in a minute. But as part of that group, when we complete prompts, we earn virtual tokens, and you can just let them add up until you have a good selection. And then on a couple of times a month, usually, Cheryl will put out a notice that the boutiques are open, and she has items that people have gifted, items that she has provided, and they are in categories of how many tokens it takes, to purchase them. So I have been letting my tokens just add up and add up and add up because I had been eyeing a couple of things in the tiers that required a larger number of tokens. And so I am thrilled to let you know I was able to get 2 pieces this time when Cheryl opened it. And this is the first one. This is called Halloween with a Y. Not sure why there's Halloween with a Y, but anyway, that's interesting. I hadn't realized the name of it. Didn't make sense to me. But this is the pattern. And it has 4 separate parts that you can either stitch separately, or in this case, they have it together as a string. I think those are great. They would make wonderful Halloween ornaments, as you see this one here. And I love that little gift bag. That is really cute. But I don't have a whole lot of Halloween patterns, and so I was glad to pick that one up. And the second thing I got, I was tickled to see because I saw on a YouTube channel recently, someone was talking about these elf patterns and that there's a series of them, and I went looking for them and I couldn't find the one they showed, and I really, really liked it. But when I looked in Cheryl's boutique, there was one of the Sleigh Keeper elves. It's the 6th in the elf series from Fancy That. So this one allows me to get my very first one of the elf series, and I think it's precious. So I want to put this in my stash to stitch sometime in the future. Love it. Anyway, those were my purchases with my virtual tokens. So Cheryl, thanks for doing that, and I'm so grateful that you've put that together, and thank you for your prompt service when you sent that out. That was great. I appreciate that very much. The other thing I want to share with you is some happy mail. I have a very dear friend named Glow, and we met virtually. We've never met in person yet. We were supposed to meet this September at a stitching retreat. No, this November at a stitching retreat, and it's been canceled. And so we're not going to get to meet and this year anyway. But we're hoping for some time in the future. So we stitch and talk virtually. And if you recall, Glow is the person that I stitched. My home is this is my happy place for her, and she stitched one for me. So we have just been enjoying stitching with each other virtually and talking with each other and getting to know each other. So Glow tends to spoil me, and every now and then I'll get something in the mail that I don't know is coming. And this was on my wish list at 123 Stitch because I want to do that. And I just hadn't pulled the trigger yet. And Glow found it. And she sent it to me. Thank you, Glow. I appreciate that so, so much. And oh, I can't wait to do that. Okay, I had another happy mail, and this one is such a sweet story. I have a friend that I met many years ago. She taught a one-night class on marketing for nonprofits. I was working for a hospice at the time, and we had to fundraise all of our money, and they had not become Medicare certified or anything, so they didn't bill for any of their services, and we really did have to raise all of our money to operate. And so I was very interested in learning how to market our events. So I signed up for the course, and I was so impressed with the lady who taught the course that I got her contact information, and I recruited her to come and volunteer for us and help us market our events, and through that got to know her. Her name is Lane. I won't give you her last name because I haven't asked permission to share that, but she contacted me just recently and said that she was helping her mom clean out a bunch of her closets and storage areas because her mom is recently, her mom and dad have relocated because they've downsized. And so they're having to just really, get rid of a lot of things. And one of the things they ran across was a cross-stitch piece that her mother had displayed in her home for many years. and has had it for so long, she doesn't remember where she got it from. She doesn't remember who stitched it or where she got it from. But she obviously framed it herself because there are staples all around the edge. So I'll probably need to gingerly take those out and maybe just even trim that edge off so that the rust and things doesn't continue to spread. But I'm thinking of reframing this or making maybe a pillow out of it. I'm not sure, but I want to show you what this says. It says home sweet home. There are lazy daisies all through here, and there are satin stitches all through here. So this person, these lazy daisies are beautiful. They're some of the most uniform, and there are French knots in here as well. And several places have the satin stitches, but I think it's beautiful. Now, I'm gonna do something with it. I'm gonna save these stitches. I wish her mom knew where she got it from, but at least I know where I got it from. And my friend was thrilled when I said, yes, I would like to have it. So they didn't throw it away. They just took it out of the frame and sent it to me. But I think that's lovely. So I saved the stitches. Okay, now what have I been doing that I have been so busy that I could not even record every day? Well, I started working on some prompts in Cheryl McKinney's group at the end of August. I had a couple of days where I had finished some things early and I just could stitch on whatever I wanted. And so I decided that I was going to stitch on my full coverage piece Friends because I wanted to get ahead of my block that I was going to be working on. So this is Friends, and I had 3 sections left across the bottom here, one of which included about half of those toys. Heavy, 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 heavy confetti, very heavy confetti. So I wanted to get a head start on it. So I kept doing prompts over here as much as possible, and then when I just needed to get stitches, I'd come over here and work on this. Well, one of the things I discovered working on this was that these colors actually were charted in a downward line. So to stitch them the easiest, you actually start over here and you just go down a whole line, and then you get the next color and go down another line and get the next color and go down another line. And yes, that is exactly how it's done. There's not a single, in this whole thing, there's not more than 1 row of a color at a time. So you're changing your thread out every row, and then when you get here, it swaps and the colors are going down this way in a straight line. And so it makes more sense then to stop going diagonally and start stitching up and down, up and down, up and down, because I could do color completion. I could do one color all the way across and then come back and do the next color all the way across, because I would just go down and up, down and up, down and up, down and up, boom, 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 like that. Well, I got thinking about that because I had this split into 3 sections. But if I stitched them individually, I was going to be parking threads like crazy, and it was going to take me a lot longer to do. So I just threw out the sections and said, I'm just going to stitch. And when I stitch enough to have at least done a whole section, I can stop whenever I want. So that's what I did. I stitched and stitched and stitched. I was supposed to stop on the 1st of September and stitch on one of my advent animals for a sal. It was a 1 in a series sal from Cross Stitch Finish Line, and I was supposed to start it and finish it on the 1st and the 2nd of September. And then I was to pick up full coverage, my Friends, and do that section for the month. And I had allotted the 3rd, 4th, and 5th to stitch on Friends for this month. And the reason I picked that time frame is that in Stitch Mania, it is full coverage on the 5th. And so I always like to be stitching on my full coverage piece on the 5th. So I thought, I don't really want to put this down. and I can catch up an Advent animal sometime later in the month. I'm just going to keep stitching. And so I did. I stitched several hours a day on this piece to finish it up, and that's exactly what happened. Today, when I got up, all I had left to do was the back stitching on the bottom half, because I had already back stitched the first sections as I stitched them. But then when I got to this next bottom row down here, all this cording and things that you see in here, they went over all the two rows, and so I had to wait until I got all of it stitched to do that part of the back stitching. And I was trying to back stitch in order, and so I didn't miss it, because if you remember, this is the piece that has so many back stitching instructions. Like there's page 1, and then there's the end of it over here in the middle. So this is how much back stitching there was as far as instructions. Don't let that intimidate you. They were so clear. They were so wonderful, you know, to tell you exactly what color to do, exactly where. And the only thing I got confused about at the end was when it was describing how to backstitch around these little sacks here that hold the cording, the ropes on the drum. And these are stitched lighter on one side where the light is coming in the window, and darker on the other side. So they had to give you 2 instructions to do this one close to Andy's leg on the right side only a color, and then on every other side a different color. And that threw me for just about a minute. You know, I had to read it 2 or 3 times before I thought, oh, I got it. You know, it's because the light is coming in. Some of this back stitching is more intricate because this is a piece of art, a painting that has been converted to cross stitch. So all of the beautiful shadowing and you know, shadows coming through that window and casting those shadows, all of that is displayed in this piece. So I am thrilled to have it completed, and I finished it today. I finished it probably no more than 10 minutes ago. So this is right off my roller frame. I haven't pressed it yet. I'm just finished it, and I want to film it and share it with you because I'm so excited about it. So here is Friends. I think this is a gorgeous piece. I haven't always loved stitching on it, but through the course, I fell in love with it. And I am tickled to death to be able to give this to my friend for Christmas this year. I look back and I started this in March of 2019. And I had hoped, I had in my notes that it was supposed to be for my friend for either Christmas in 2019, or her birthday in March 2020, which would have given me a year to do this. And had I worked on it full time, you know, like monogamously, I could have finished it, but that's not how I stitch anymore. And so, you know, it's okay. But I'm tickled to death that I've got it here, and I want to tell you a few things about it. Until you stitch something, you don't really see everything when you're just looking at a picture like this. So for one thing, I will tell you, I didn't notice the reflection of Anne's sock in the window until I stitched it. That was the first time I'd ever seen that. And until I was back stitching on that little spin top toy, I couldn't make out the staff, the treble clef staff that the notes are on right there in the corner, if you can see that. It took me a minute. And in fact, when I back stitched it the color I think it was calling for, I couldn't see it at all. So that back stitching, there was 2 things for back stitching. One said to back stitch the notes, the musical notes in 310, and then you back stitch these red things in red and the purple with purple, and then it says to back stitch, oh, and you back stitch this with 2 strands of 310. But then when it talks about back stitching the rest of the top of that, it gives you a color that's closer to this dark green in here. And so when I tried to do the treble clef and the score there, the lines, couldn't see them. So I ripped that out and I went back to the 310. I think when they said musical notes, they also meant the music, you know, as well right here. And so I think that looks great. And I think it just turned out so cute. So cute. The other things that have been interesting is I mentioned the light and dark. These threw me, you know, when I had to have a different color for one side and then another color. But another favorite thing that you have to do is this cording. This isn't plain back stitching. That is a cording. You might can see it more dimensionally that way. That you make out of 4 strands of DMC. You take 2 strands of 2 different colors and you just hand twist them. And then you stitch those cords that are supposed to be the ropes on the drum. And you do that last. And then you do French knots. There's 3 in her dress, and there are French knots in some of the berries. And they're little black French knots. So you may not be able to see them because they are teeny tiny. But anyway, friends, I'm very tickled with it. And I'm excited because this is my first full coverage piece that I have stitched. And so I've already posted it in the Full Coverage Fanatics to let them see my very first full coverage. So I'm happy with that. Thank you for letting me share that with you. I'm going to be pressing that really well, and then I will head off and see if I can't find a great frame for it and get that Christmas present taken care of. Oh, I hope you are having a great start to your month. Now I will re-look at my schedule because other than my Advent animal that I didn't stitch, I'm now on schedule because I was to stitch through the 5th on this, and I did. And the more I stitched on it and the closer I got to a finish in it, I knew I just had to do it. And so that meant that Friday night I stayed up stitching till 2 in the morning because I wanted to finish all of the cross stitching. I only wanted to have to finish up back stitching that second half today. And I will tell you, I am so tickled that I only had to do half of it because it took me 6 hours to do the second half. So it's an intense piece, but it is beautiful. It is really pretty. I'm not sure you can see it in camera as well as you can in person, but I think my friend is really gonna like it. I hope so. Anyway, I think that's all I have today, and I'm going to go now and watch a television series that my son has introduced me to. And we're going to watch an episode while he eats his dinner, and then, who knows, I might take the rest of the night off from stitching because it's been pretty intense for the last 5 days to get this finished. But I hope you like it. And I will let you get back to what you were doing, and I will talk to you the next time I have something to share with you. Happy stitching. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back. This is Dina, and I am here to give you an update on this beautiful Wednesday. It is September the 9th, and I have something to share with you. I've been working on another whip. This one is by Plum Street Samplers. It is Soul Sisters, and I have several things to tell you about it. Number one, I ran out of this beautiful tealy blue in the sky. It's actually a Classic Colorworks Deep Fennel. I went on 123 Stitches website and I pulled it up and it looked brown. It was horrible. I knew it wasn't gonna match. So I called up a friend of mine. You know her as D Squared, but I know her as Donna. And I asked if she might have any of this deep fennel in her stash. And she did. So she let me buy a skein from her. And I had to use quite a bit of it. But it was just ever so slightly a little more teal blue than the other. So it's variegated, which is to my advantage. And so what I did with it is an age-old trick. I took a strand of the old, but I waited, I didn't run out of it. I knew it might not match perfectly, and I was thinking I might have to do this. I took a strand of the old and a strand of the new, because it's 2/2, and blended it. And I did that for the rest of the house, or the sky rather. And when I ran out, I finished everything I was to stitch in that color. I had just a portion of that final old strand combination left. So I barely eked it out. But, you know, if I had had to just let it be, it would have been close enough. You probably would have thought the variegation turned a little bluer, but you can't tell. It looks beautiful. I think it looked great. The other thing about this piece that I want to talk about is these two little ladies' heads. Their heads from the neck up are 1/1, and their bodies are 2/2. And I wasn't sure how that was going to look. That's how they were charted. That's the only way they're charted. But that's so that they're the small proportion that they need to be for the piece. And in fact, this beautiful off-white here that is actually a Weeks Dye Works parchment. Pretty sure it's a Weeks and not a Classic Colorworks. It is Weeks Dye Works parchment. Here it is. You actually do stitch around their head and face with 1/1 in that color to even out all of the squares that would not line up correctly. And then you go back to the 2/2. So I don't know if you can even see that. Maybe you can. But see, there's a little bit of 1/1 stitched around each head and neck. But these two sisters are sew sisters. They are needleworkers. And I love this piece. I think it's great, great fun. I've actually thought it, when I first started it, I thought I'm stitching this for my sewing room. And then when I read this, it says, "In friendship, let's join thine interests with mine." I thought this is something you give somebody else. So I have picked out the friend this is going to. They don't know it's coming, but I'm just going to quietly ship it to them and see if they like it when they get it. So this is a remnant of a 32 count Lugana. It's Autumn Fields. And this is the fabric that you may recall I stitched several dachshund pieces from Plum Street Samplers on here. The Beanie Weenies and the Halloweenies and all that for my sister Stephanie. So this was the piece I had left after stitching all those pieces I did for her. And wasn't it just perfect for this piece? Plenty of room, so, you know, if you want to frame it, you can. If you want to make a flat fold, I think there's plenty of fabric here, you know, just however you want to utilize it. But I really like it. I like the unique shape of it, and I love the colors together. Those beautiful chrysanthemum. This is a chrysanthemum by Weeks Dye Works, and you know, together with that deep fennel, it just looks beautiful. So anyway, that is ready to go. I'll be putting that in the mail very, very soon. So to recap for this month so far, I've stitched 2 projects in 9 days. That's not like me, but I've stitched them to a finish. And neither of them did I plan on finishing this month, if you had talked to me a month ago. So I think that kind of indicates to you how I've changed my plans for September. I mentioned it at the end of August that I was going to try to finish some things, get my whips down a bit. I'm happy to report I counted this morning and I have 17 active whips. Actually, one of those I've placed inactive, the Crystal Christmas, until I finish Giggles in the Snow and my Christmas spool tree. So that means I really have 16 active whips, and that is wonderful. That's about double what I want to be at. I won't be able to finish 8 more things by the end of the year, I don't believe. But we'll see. We'll see. But this one was my 53rd finish of the year. 53rd. Wow. I can't believe it. I've had a combination of big finishes, medium finishes, and small finishes this year. But adding in those smalls, doing those Advent Animals, you know, the monthly calendar things, or like this year I did the 12 Days of Christmas from Hands On Design. Doing those smalls really helps you feel like you're getting progress, and it also certainly pushed my numbers up there, didn't it? But I just keep a record because I find it interesting. I'm not competing with anybody, and I'm not trying to, you know, beat last year every year, although I have. That has just been a product of the fact that I've had more time once I retired, and then this year, of course, I had more time because of our COVID situation. When you can't go anywhere, you can't have anybody over, stitch, you know? So that's what I've been doing. We did have a Bible study yesterday that started, the ladies of our church got together outside, and we all brought our own chairs, and we were under a cover, a drive-through cover of a big Family Life Center. And it was great. We had 18 or 20 women there. We were all 6 feet apart. We all had on masks, but we hadn't seen each other, you know, since probably March. And it was just very indicative on how much people need each other. We had such a good time just getting to catch up a little bit with each other from long distance. It was still great to see each other. So I'm very tickled that I got to do that. So I'm hoping that means a few more things will be doing, you know, going on like that. And that way, you know, we get to meet and see our friends, and that just helps you get through every day, I think. In the meantime, I've been doing lots of virtual stitching, and I'll be doing that again this week. I'm hoping anyway. So I've got a time set for Friday to stitch with my friend Marissa in Canada, and I have a time set for Saturday to stitch with my friend Glo from Spain. And tomorrow I'm excited because my friend Donna, who has been very isolated and has social distanced beautifully, is coming over, and she's going to sit at the other end of this table, which is about 8 feet away. And I'm exaggerating. It is at least 6 feet away, though. And she's going to sit down there and stitch, and I'm going to sit up here and stitch. And the only thing that we will probably touch together, or at the, you know, something we will touch at that's the same, would be Coco. So I'm hoping that'll be all right. Anyway, she's okay with it, and I am too, and I'll have hand sanitizer right here available for us. But I can't wait to see her, so that'll be great fun. Well, it's a short one. It's a lot of work. I've been doing a lot of stitching on these 2 pieces. Friends took a lot of time, and I actually spent 5 days on it in the month of September, and I think I had spent a couple of days in August before. And then for my Soul Sisters, it took me 4 days to finish this, and over 2,700 stitches. But I wanted to get it done because I wanted to send it off when I decided what I wanted to do with it. So I'm very happy with that. Well, I'm going to let you guys get back to stitching. I'm going to probably pick my next whip based on prompts because I don't know that I have anything else even remotely close enough to push to a finish. So I will do that, and I will come back and visit with you soon. Happy stitching, everyone. Hi everyone, welcome back again. Today is still Wednesday. It's much later in the day, but I had time this afternoon to do a little more stitching. And today I decided to stitch for a prompt in Cheryl McKinney's group. And this prompt was to stitch 200 stitches in red using any color of red thread you wanted to. So one of the pieces that I've been working on is a memorial piece, and it has some red in it, and so I pulled out Wintertime and decided I was going to stitch on red until I got at least 200 stitches. And so I was able to do that, and I want to share with you what I was able to do. So I got two of the birds stitched, at least the red part. I haven't done their beaks yet. And then I got in two words, cozy and cardinals. And I did count that back stitching 2 stitches equaled 1 cross stitch. But I was able to get 219 stitches in today. And so that met my prompt for 200 stitches. And I got that taken care of. So that will probably be all the work that I get to do on Wintertime this month, because September is my month that I am trying to finish as many things as I possibly can. And I actually pulled out Wintertime today just so I could get my prompt in Cheryl's group. And otherwise, I probably wouldn't have worked on it quite yet this month, because I am going to start working tomorrow on Christmas Spool Tree by Sue Hillis, because I think if I give it a couple of days, maybe 3, I will be able to finish that this month as well. So this has been a big month of finishes for me so far, because I've just been monogamous on whatever I pick up until it's done. And that's how I'm gonna finish as many of my smaller to medium projects as I can. Of course, I can't do that with these larger pieces. I could stitch all month and not finish one of those, like Giggles in the Snow or Seeking Refuge. You know, that wouldn't happen. So I think instead what I'm going to be working on are all of the pieces I can that are the small to medium pieces. And I will also be trying to get some work done on some of the Advent animals, just to keep my series on target. And so that'll be this month as well. And then I'm going to be doing a sale with my sheep virtues. And so I'm going to be working on those this weekend with a virtual stitching with my friend Marissa, who's going to be stitching that with me. She's doing it the same way I'm doing all on one piece, so we're going to really work on that together. And other than that, I do have a plan penciled in. Now, of course, that will possibly change as prompts are required, but at least if possible, then I will follow that plan. And if I do that, I may actually get one more finish this month. I don't know. We'll see. There's a lot of stitching left in it, but it's the closest one that I could probably do. So I'll just see how it goes. Anyway, all of this is just so that I can whip down, as they say, toward the end of the year. I would like to get as few carryover projects as possible, because I want to be able to start what I'd like to start next year, especially for Mania. And I want to get some of these big projects more time. So I always like to stitch on as many of my whips as I can every month, so that I feel like I'm getting them moving forward, and it gives me lots of variety. But if I have as many whips as I have right now, which is 16 active whips, I can't spend as much time on those bigger ones making progress on them, you know, that that I could otherwise. So I am going to say goodnight. I'm going to head to bed, and I will pick up Christmas spool tree tomorrow, and I will hopefully have an update for you in 2 to 3 days. So happy stitching, everyone. Good night. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. My name is Dina, and this is my channel about cross stitch, and I am here for an update on what I was able to stitch yesterday. First of all, I had a fabulous day yesterday. My friend Donna from D Squared was able to come over and stitch with me. We were socially distanced, but we brought our stitching, and we were able to talk and catch up with one another, and we actually stitched, both of us, which is pretty good. So after Donna left for the day and I had picked up my son from work, I came back in my sewing room and I stitched quite a bit more yesterday evening. And I was tickled to death to be able to accomplish what I did yesterday, and I want to share that with you today. So I was working on the Christmas spool tree by Sue Hillis. I'm doing this in a stitch along with one of my friends that I've met online here from my channel. And we had decided to do this together, and we started it in the Jolly July, Christmas in July. And I've been working on it. In the first couple of sessions I did, I stitched all the way down to the bottom of the thread on this row of spools. So when I had picked it up yesterday, I had to do the bottom of those 4 spools, this spool, and then do all the back stitch and greenery and put the buttons on. And it went really fast. And so, yeah, I finished it last night. So I want to share it with you. This is my finish. I think it's lovely. One of the things I really like about it is the richness of the colors. They're very, very rich, but they aren't bright. So it's not a bright red or a bright green, but it is a rich green and a rich red. I really like it. These are my colors. So I've got this put together. I decided not to put the border on for a couple of reasons. One, I felt like the border made it a little more country than what I wanted for my decor and the checkerboard look. And I decided, I measured this. With the border on it, it's an 8 by 10. Without the border, I think I can get it in a 5 by 7. And space is a premium. You know, I would like, when I put out Christmas, I like to put out a lot, and I need room for the things that I want to put out. So I have enough sort of big things that are already peeking out over there. So this one being a 5 by 7, I think would be all that much better. I would enjoy it. I had toyed with making it a pillow, to go ahead and put the border around it and make it a pillow. But I have a puppy that likes to eat anything fabric, and so I'm afraid that these buttons and things would be too tempting and she would just eat it. So I don't want that to happen. So there's my finish. And that again is Christmas Spool Tree by Sue Hillis Designs. I love her humor. I love her aesthetic. And I'm hoping that some of you might love her too, and I'm going to pass the stash on this piece, and I even may have a couple of leftover buttons. I'll throw them in case you want to use them. But if you're interested in stitching the Christmas spool tree, just put a comment below that you would like to stitch the tree, and I'll put your name in the drawing. And my goal is to draw for this on September the, let's see, let's just say we'll take it all the way to the 30th of the month, and that way I can draw for the winner that day, do the random number generator, and get it in the mail as soon as possible so that you could stitch it for Christmas if you like. This is definitely doable from October to December. It's a quick stitch. Goes really, really quick. So I'm gonna look for your comments. Just say you'd like to stitch the tree. Well, September has been very different for me. It's been a month of finishes. I had mentioned that I was going to try and stitch on as many of my whips as I could and get them finished by the end of the year. And I decided that September would be a great month to get started with that. And I have had several finishes already in the month of September. So I'm really pleased with that. And this video is documenting that. But it's a different way of stitching for me. I'm picking up something that I feel like is up to a week away from a finish, and I just work on it monogamously until I finish it. And that's not how I've been stitching lately in the last year or two. So it is a bit different, but I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying seeing these things come to completion and reduce my whips, down a bit. So I'm meeting that goal that's being accomplished. I'll have to do a little deviation and stitch on a couple of things that aren't finishes to meet all my prompts in Cheryl McKinney's group, and I intend to do that this weekend. Today, however, is very special. I'm getting to do a virtual stitching with a friend of mine that has decided to stitch the Little Sheep Virtues with me. And so we're going to be stitching on Little Sheep Virtues today. And we're going to start that in just a little while. So I'm going to get off the video. I'm going to go have lunch with my hubby, and then I'll be back in here to do our Zoom stitching. So I hope you're having a great month of September, whatever way you're stitching. And as soon as I start my next week of stitching, I'm actually going to begin my magazine piece for the magazine's Facebook group, Sal, that Seazook Stitch is doing. And so can't wait to share that with you. I'll have some information on that coming up. So happy stitching, everybody, and I hope to have some progress to share with you in the next couple of days. Happy stitching, everybody. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. It is still Friday, September the 11th, and I am here to talk to you about my stitching that I was able to do today. I came on earlier and filmed a little segment about my stitching from yesterday, but I was really tickled with my progress today, and I wanted to go ahead and film it so I could wrap this up and post it tomorrow. Today was a very special day. As I mentioned earlier, my friend Marissa and I began working together on our Sheep Virtues combination. And you've seen the border before, and so we decided to take this border and work with it and do the combination of the Sheep Virtues and the middle piece that's from Country Cottage Needleworks. So today we both decided we would start at the top and do the very first Sheep Virtue. So today's virtue that I worked on was Hope. And I do have the buttons. In this case it's a poinsettia, but I have the buttons for each one. I didn't use them when I stitched all these on my afghan. I saved it for this piece. So I'm happy to share that with you. And today I was able to stitch the Hope square. So this is like a tiny finish for me. This is the border that I created myself. It looks a bit like rickrack, but I just love that variegated border. And I had to simplify the border because I wouldn't have had enough of this variegated thread had I done it the way that the pattern called for. So I just kind of made my more simple border because I wanted to get this variegated thread in there. But today we finished, or I finished this one. I think Marissa's well on her way as well to finishing this one. But I wanted to let you know I did mine in the called for colors. However, it was funny today as we were talking because Marissa mentioned that she had found a color of floss that she was definitely going to use on her piece. And in fact, she used it today on her first sheep. But the actual floss is called Shabby Sheep. It's by Classic Colorworks. And this is what it looks like. And I'll put it up here against the fabric and let you see it. It is variegated. It's an off-white and a little bit of a gray. And so when you stitch on it, it looks a little bit like a sheep that has two-tone wool or has a dirty coat. It's really pretty. So I'm going to use that on one of mine. I don't know which one yet, but I'll pick one that I think it'll go well for, and going to use that later on in my project. But we thought it was funny that both of us had pulled that out of our stash and said we were going to use it, and hadn't even discussed it with the other one. So great minds run along the same lines, as they say. All right, that is my stitching for today. I've had a lovely day, and I had time to spend with my family, and I've also had time to stitch virtually with my friend Marissa, and now I am wrapping everything up for the evening, and we'll be able to turn in fairly early. The good news is I had on my schedule 2 days to stitch this. I was not sure I was going to finish one in one day. I wasn't sure how much stitching time I was going to have today. So that means tomorrow is a free day for me. So I can't wait to see what I decide to do. Well, Coco is calling my name, as you can hear. So I'm going to let her in and go get her ready to start getting calmed down and getting, time to go to bed. So we have to play a little bit to wear her out. So she's ready for that. So in the meantime, until I can talk to you again about stitching, I hope that you enjoy what you're stitching on. Happy stitching.